The fastest way to solve this problem on the GED, when you have an x squared and an equal sign, is to use the calculator. Because there's a button on there called Table, and we can type in the left side of this equation here. So we'll start off with x squared. X is right there next to 4. Squared is right above it. Then minus 3x minus 4. From there, you're just going to keep hitting enter until you get to a table. We want to find out when the whole thing is 6 or when the y value is 6. But if we just sneak down a little bit, when x is -2, the whole thing is 6. So therefore, x is -2 is one of our answers. Now, none of the other ones have a -2. So the other answer should just be +5. All right, well, let's just double check that. And that does check out. When x is 5, the whole thing is 6, just like we want. So it's got to be B, because those are both of our answers there. When you have those squigglies, it just means multiple answers are correct. Okay, but what was going on? Because that might have seemed like a bunch of black magic there. Well, let's go to the home screen. When you have this equation here, we're really just changing both of these x's to the same number. So let's pretend we change both of those x's, 5 there, 5 there. Let's do it. So it's going to be 5, and that one's squared. Then minus. When you have a number and a letter next to each other, they're just multiplied. So we'll do 3 times same x value of 5. End it with a -4, and that gets us 6. So that's why that value worked. And if we plugged in -2 for that x and that x, that would also get us +6. So that's what's really going on behind the scenes. The amazing thing is the table button just went ahead and plugged in all of these all at once. So saved us a lot of time there. Okay, here's another example if you want to pause and try this one out. And let's jump into it. So fastest way when we see an x squared and an equal sign, use that table. We'll clear, and let's do it. X squared minus 2x minus 3. Enter 5 times. But this time we're looking when the solution is 0 or the y value is 0. But lucky for us, right away we notice, oh, when x is 3, the whole thing is 0. So that one must be an answer. But once again, none of the other ones have +3, so it looks like x is -1 is the other answer. We'll go up to get to the negatives there. And sure enough, x is -1, that also works. So A, those are both of our answers. Okay, so we could solve these all day, but what's the application here? When you have an x squared and you graph it, it's actually a smiley face. And it could represent the height of a skateboarder on a half pipe over time. Or if you have a negative x squared, that's just a frown. So that could represent the height of a football or soccer ball being kicked, reaches a peak, comes back down, hits the ground. But notice we set ours equal to 0. That's the same thing as finding out when the height is 0, or how long it took before it hit the ground. Our answers are both how long it took, but negative time doesn't make sense, so we'll ignore that one. But it took 3 seconds after we kicked it for the height to be 0 and hit the ground. So that's how you could use those guys there. Okay, here's another one. Even if there's a number in front of x squared, no worries, same thing. So let's do it. Table, clear, 3x squared minus 4x, enter. And we're on the hunt for when y is 20. Okay, let's scroll down. but we're not seeing it there. Let's go back up. And there we go. When x is -2, the whole thing is 20. So answer there should be D. Now we could always double check it, because we could plug in -2 for x there, -2 for x there, and we could type that in. When you replace a letter with a number, then just put it in parentheses, and then that'll work correctly. That all should give us 20. And then there's one last example here. Okay, this one looks a little extra, but no worries, still the same process here. The only issue is when we get to the fractions, but we'll address that when we get there. Okay, let's start it off. So table, clear, this one has a 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. Enter 5 times. The only issue with the table is it only tells you whole numbers. So we can only check whether 5 and -5 work. But that's fine. Let's check +5. Let's scroll down. Okay, but that gets us 130. We want it to be 0. So it's definitely not that one. But let's go ahead and check -5 here. Let's scroll up to get to the negatives. And there we go. That does work. X is -5. The whole thing is 0. So that one's good. Now, when we're trying to check fractions, we could still do table, type it in just like we have, but then hit enter once. Because we're going to scroll down, switch it from auto to ask. This allows us to plug in any x value we want, 2/3 for instance. Okay, so we'll hit that. And let's do it. So we'll hit 2 fraction 3. That'll plug in x is 2/3 for that x and that x. And that does, surprisingly, give us 0. So that answer works. But we already have our 2 answers, so we know what those are. Okay, but let's just check -2/3 just to make sure that that doesn't work. And no, it gives us some negative, so no good. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so x is -5 was one answer, +2/3 the other answer. And that's it. You'll be able to solve any quadratic or x squared problem on the GED using this method. You got these. Let me know what questions you have, but good luck. We'll see you in the next video. Toodles.